Tonight you'll fall asleep without any trouble. No noise will wake you, no dream, no alarm. And then, somewhere in the dark, your eyes will open on their own. You'll reach for your phone already knowing what it's going to say. 3 in the morning. Most people assume the answer's obvious. You're stressed, or you drank coffee too late, or you're getting older. All of that's real, and none of it explains the time. Because your body wasn't failing to stay asleep tonight. That waking isn't a fault in the system. It's the oldest instruction in it. So what is actually waking you at 3 in the morning? The answer has 4 parts, and the last one is the strangest thing anyone has measured about human sleep. There's a clinical name for what'll happen to you tonight. Doctors call it sleep maintenance insomnia. The trouble isn't falling asleep, it's staying asleep. It's one of the most common complaints in medicine, and there's a real chance it isn't a disorder at all. Here's the first strange thing. Tonight won't be the only time you wake up. It'll only be the time you remember. Wire your scalp up in a sleep laboratory and watch your own night play out on paper. You surface over and over in brief arousals of a few seconds each. An awakening only becomes a memory if it lasts long enough to lay one down. Everything shorter than that simply vanishes. So you're not waking once tonight. You're waking constantly. You're only noticing at 3. And for a long time, nobody could explain why the noticing happens there. The first part of the answer is architecture. You don't sleep in a block. You sleep in loops. Roughly every 90 minutes, your brain runs a full circuit down into deep sleep and back up toward the surface again. 4 or 5 of those, and your night is over. But the loops aren't identical, and that's the part that matters. Your deep sleep is front-loaded. Slow-wave sleep is the heavy, dreamless kind that's genuinely hard to wake you out of, and nearly all of it sits in the first half of your night. The second half of your night is a different animal. Your slow-wave sleep thins out, and in the last cycles, it can disappear completely. What fills the space is dreaming sleep, light, easily interrupted. So your night has a shape. It starts heavy and it ends shallow. By 3 in the morning, you aren't deep in anything at all. You're skimming the surface, over and over. Your brain could always have woken you, and now it barely has to try. But that's only half the story. And honestly, what comes next is stranger. Because while your architecture is getting lighter, your chemistry is switching sides. Every hour you're awake, a molecule called adenosine builds up inside your brain. It's essentially a waste product, and it's what makes you feel sleepy. Pressure. The weight that pins you to the mattress, and the thing your sleep spends all night clearing away. So 4 or 5 hours in, most of your adenosine is already gone. The weight has lifted, and here's the part nobody talks about, because something else has already started. In the hours before you wake, and not after you wake, your body begins releasing cortisol. That's the hormone that gets you up and moving, and it's rising while you're still asleep. So look at where all of that leaves you at 3 in the morning. The thing that was holding you down has been cleared out of your brain. The thing that lifts you up has already begun, and you're lying in the shallowest sleep of your entire night. 3 separate systems, all pointing the same direction at the same hour. And we know this clock is real because we can move it. In 2013, a team at the University of Colorado took volunteers camping for a week. No torches, no screens, no headlamps. When they came back, their internal clocks had shifted almost 2 hours earlier. That's the whole experiment. Change the light, and the entire schedule slides. Every lamp you leave burning after dark pushes that clock later. Your 3 in the morning isn't a fixed point in the universe. It's a setting, and almost everything in your house is quietly adjusting it. But there's another layer to this, and it might be the strangest part of all. To understand why the window opens at all, you have to look at what a night used to be. In the 1980s, a historian named Roger E. Kirch at Virginia Tech was reading old court records in a London library. It was testimony from ordinary people about ordinary nights, and he kept hitting a phrase that made no sense to him. First sleep. People described going to bed, sleeping a few hours, then waking up in the dark. Hours later, they went back down for what they called their second sleep. Nobody explained it. Nobody had to. It was as unremarkable to them as breakfast. Kirch spent more than a decade on it and found over 500 references spread across centuries. So he had the history, but what he didn't have was proof that a body like yours would still do it. That came from a psychiatrist named Thomas Wehr at the National Institute of Mental Health. In 1992, Wehr put healthy volunteers into an artificial winter. He gave them 10 hours of light, then 14 hours of darkness. Their sleep didn't stretch out to fill the dark. It split in two. 3 to 5 hours of sleep, then a long interval awake, then a second block until morning. Nobody told them to. Nobody suggested it. Their bodies simply did it. And now the arithmetic that answers your question. Their first sleep ended about 4 hours after they lay down. Lie down at dusk, and that gap opens somewhere near midnight. You don't lie down at dusk. You lie down at 11. 4 hours later is 3 in the morning. The window never closed. It moved because you did, which raises something uncomfortable. If that schedule is inherited, then whatever wakes you at 3 isn't really making a decision about tonight. It isn't weighing your deadline or your bank balance or the thing you said out loud in 2009. It's running an old program on an old clock inside a body that stopped supervising itself. So who is awake at 3 in the morning? Is that you, or is it the part of you that was here first, the part with a job you never applied for and never agreed to do? There's one more piece, and it's the reason for all of it. In 2017, an anthropologist named David Sampson at Duke University went to live with the Hadza in northern Tanzania. The Hadza are hunter-gatherers, and they sleep out in the open, in camps. He put activity trackers on 33 adults. Then he recorded every night for 3 weeks. He wasn't looking for this. He found it anyway. Across that entire study, the total time when every single adult was asleep at once came to 18 minutes. 18 in 3 weeks. For 99.8% of the night, somebody in that camp was awake, usually about 8 of them, and nobody was assigned to it. There was no guard, no rota, no word in the language for a night watch. It happens because people go to bed at slightly different times and wake at slightly different times. With enough bodies, those gaps overlap into a chain that covers the whole dark. A camp full of unreliable sleepers is a camp that's never once unguarded. Your bad night is somebody's shift. And here's where it gets complicated, in a way most versions of this story leave out. Because when researchers measured other people living without electricity, they didn't find 2 sleeps at all. In 2015, a team studied 3 groups on 2 continents, the Hadza in Tanzania, the San in Namibia, the Tsimane in Bolivia. All 3 fell asleep a few hours after sunset. All 3 woke before dawn, when the air was at its coldest. And all 3 slept in a single block for 6 or 7 hours. No first sleep, no second sleep. So which is it? Both. Because the answer was never that humans are built for 2 sleeps. Those 3 groups live near the equator, where the night runs about 12 hours long all year round. Akirch's Europeans and VAER's volunteers were handed 14. Sleep doesn't have a fixed shape. It expands to fill the darkness it's given. And when there's more darkness than there is sleep, it breaks in the middle. You weren't built for 2 sleeps. You were built to fit whatever the night turned out to be. Which leaves one last question. If all of this is normal, why does it feel so terrible? Go back to VAER's volunteers, because he measured what that gap felt like from the inside. During their hours awake, their cortisol stayed low, and a hormone called prolactin ran high. It produced the same calm, drifting state you get in the last minutes before sleep. They came out of it describing something close to meditation. That isn't what happens to you. You wake into the same window with tomorrow already sitting in it. Your cortisol is climbing, not resting. And the part of your brain that argues back, the part that says this can wait until morning, comes online slowest of all. So you get the fear without the referee. Every problem you have, at full volume, with nobody awake to check it against. It isn't that your thoughts are worse at 3 in the morning. It's that at 3 in the morning, there's nothing else in the room. And one more thing, because it's the honest part. You don't remember every night. You remember the bad ones. You count the nights you lay there staring at the ceiling, and you never count the ones you slept straight through. So here's what's actually happening to your night. Your sleep is at its shallowest in the second half of it. Your adenosine has cleared, and your cortisol has already started to climb. Your inherited schedule has a gap in it, and your bedtime slid that gap onto 3. And your ancestors needed that gap, because a camp where everyone sleeps at once is a camp that nobody is watching. It wasn't one thing, it was all of it, at the same hour. Every human being who has ever lived has done this. Every person you know has lain in the dark at 3 in the morning, completely certain they were the only one awake. They were wrong. They have always been wrong. And here's the part worth keeping. The people who wake earliest and sleep lightest are the oldest ones in the camp. That isn't decline. That's the dawn shift. Your sleep didn't get worse as you got older. You were promoted, so put the phone down because somebody in every camp has to be awake, watching, listening, waiting for the light. And the answer to why isn't that your sleep is broken. It's that your sleep was never built to be unbroken. It was built to leave somebody awake. And tonight, that somebody is you.